Hi, welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today, as you can see, I'm in a different area that you've seen before, in a makeshift little chair here. And the reason for this is I'm going to be looking at a brand new line of figures, and those figures are a 3.75-inch O-ring figure called Delta-17. And rather than drudging stuff up to the table where you normally see, or the desk where I normally do stuff, why not just put stuff down here so I can grab whatever vehicle, weapon, stand that I might need to see if they are actually compatible with our G.I. Joe O-rings while doing the review to see if these, see how good these figures actually are. Now, just by looking at them, I do think they look absolutely wonderful, but no one really wants to look at me. So I did get 3 figures early. Again, Delta-17, War in the Shadows, and I have Kestrel here, who is the Delta-17 Grenadier. And looking at the packaging, it's actually kind of odd because I saw it on someone else's video, and all I could think of is that when the classified team does the classified retro figures in the O-ring card, this looks awful. It looks huge. When I see this, it doesn't look bad at all. And maybe that's just because the size of the card is so much smaller. You get the peg, the peg hole here. It doesn't look like it's too much. It doesn't look like they're trying to cram everything in there. So anyway, this is the first figure that I did get, and I'm going to be doing all these together. I'm going to see how they integrate with G.I. Joe, and we'll see, hey, maybe this is the new definitive O-ring line going forward. So, on the back, you get a somewhat of a cross-sell, different than G.I. Joe, and that's perfectly fine, because if you are creating a line, you want to dig your own lore and do things your own way. So, what you have here is all the different figures that they have. And then you have the cross-sell, and then you have what is considered a file card. Now, you can just cut around, it looks like, in a square or rectangle. But for the most part, I think most collectors either toss these things out, or they actually keep the boxes. Sometimes even keep the bubble. It all kind of depends on what you want to do. But anyway, it just kind of gives you a little lowdown. I'm not going to read it. You can pause and read it if you want. So anyway, this is the first one that we got. The second one that I did get is Leonitis, and he comes with a dog that's going to sit on his backpack. Now, I don't remember if there's any Joes that have shorts. And the only reason I bring up Joes is because I can't think of any O-ring figures, but it just kind of stood out like, this guy's wearing shorts. But you've seen a lot of operators in different types of scenarios where they are wearing shorts because they're being rushed into some sort of battle. But anyway, wonderful artwork as we can see here again. And then on the back, we do get a little bit of the file card. Everything is in one language. It is in English. So again, going back to the complaint that many of us have when it comes to trying to figure out some sort of backstory. And I'll let you pause this and read it if you want. With these, you're not going to have an issue. You're going to be able to read everything. And there is a comic that is supposed to be coming out with this. And this line is about to drop really soon. They are $25 a figure. And then the last figure that I did get is Preacher. He's the marksman, so he does come with a sniper rifle. He also comes with an M4. Again, looks awesome. Looking at this, I really got vibes of the Stalker, the Snow Stalker, just with a little bit of different colors. I'm not trying to say they copied anything because, listen, if you do enough figures like Hasbro has with G.I. Joe, eventually someone's going to design something that just kind of looks similar. It just kind of looks like he has like the heavy snow warfare stuff on. So again, looks really good. You get another file card. And this figure is actually from Chicago, Illinois. I should have asked if they had any that were from Detroit, Michigan, or if you have any coming, because I definitely want those. So anyway, these are the 3 that I got. So we're going to open them up. Looking at them, though, quickly. Nice cardstock. Look at that. It's not bent at all. And for someone who works on copy machines, I do understand about cardstock. This will not fit through our copiers. Though some of that stuff that Hasbro has given us, I think actually probably would. And I'm not working on industrial stuff. And if you look here, it's kind of like a Mode 2. All we're going to do is take a small razor, possibly, and just cut around it, and this thing should peel right up. So anyway, I will open one up so we can see exactly how it is when you're going to open it. And then I'll open up the other ones off camera because, let's be honest, nobody really wants to watch that. It's kind of painful in many, many ways. So anyway, before I get into opening this, if you like the content that I've been giving you, take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I do drop a new video. And just by looking at these, I have a feeling I might be getting a few more of these. Just because they look really good. And as you can see, contrary to what many people do believe, I don't just collect 6-inch action figures. I have a complete room of O-ring and 4-inch G.I. Joe figures. Now let's get into this. Alright, so let's open Preacher, but first thing I'll do is flip this over, let you pause it because it dawned on me, I didn't let anyone, I didn't put the file cut up there to be paused. So this is the one that we'll open. There's no reason to open every single figure. Now again, very thick cardstock. There's a couple different ways you can go about doing this. Maybe if someone knows a better way, feel free to let me know. But I just take a razor and just kind of break this. So when you pull this up, you're still going to have the issue with the inside of it, but you just kind of got to reach in there if you want to keep this. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe this doesn't matter to you. You're just worried about, hey, getting this thing up, getting these things open, playing around with your figures. And that is fully understandable too. And I know people right now are going, I cannot believe you're cutting on the flight deck of the flag, but if you look at these stickers, they've seen better days because they've seen the good old days of me playing as a child. So, as you can see, it just kind of pulled right up. So, if you don't want to take the whole blister off, you should be able to just kind of lift it up like this and then slide everything out, and then you can slide everything right back in. So if you want to keep the figure in there, or you just want to keep the blister for later on, there you go. So packaging looks really nice right away. Has a blister over it. So no matter what, if you're an on-card collector, you can just kind of hang it on your wall. You never have to worry about the figure moving out of place or anything. As we remove this, everything just kind of falls right out, which is extremely nice because let's be honest, fighting with the figures, moving them around, all that other stuff is a complete pain in the ass. Anyway, I'm going to take this and I'm going to try and keep these as nice as possible. Slide that right back in there and get that out of it. Alright, so all the figures are open. So now let's just take a look at what we get here. So here's our Preacher figure. Let's zoom this out. Here's our Preacher figure. As I mentioned, I really do get that, I think it's version 2 Stalker. I forget, it's the one where he's in the snow, but I got it more, I guess, when I was seeing it inside the package. Now when I'm looking at it, it definitely feels different. It has a nice weight to it. It's just something a little bit different, and quickly we'll look at the articulation, and you can get a great T-pose like anything. You get a 90-degree bend at the elbows. Head moves back and forth. You can look down like the second generation of the G.I. Joes, or maybe it's the third generation of the O-rings. I mentioned the O-ring. You get that far of a Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that's because you obviously don't want to break the O-ring in there. Perfect L right there, so 90 degrees in the knee. and then you're able to kick straight up to right around there. And then same with this one. So if you don't know how an O-ring figure works, there's not much that I can say. Now, the one thing here is that these wrists can actually articulate. Now, this is something that I've wanted for quite some time, and that's because when you're trying to fit a weapon in any of the O-ring figures, especially the old Joes, even the new Joes that they made, if the wrist isn't turning, you can't get a perfect, you can't always get a good shooting pose. Not always, but at times. So let's quickly just take a look at this figure. And I'm sorry, I'm using a different tripod, which isn't making things too easy for me. So the face sculpt looks really good. I don't see any paint issues. Eyes look nice. He's got more of a beanie on. You got this nice brown that runs down. You can see the cross that's on his chest. He's a sniper, so he has padding up here that I'm assuming is going to be there to protect him when he's firing. They didn't try and paint the rivets. I'm perfectly fine with that. Rivets up here are painted, over here aren't. I don't need painted rivets. They never bothered me on my original figures, my original Joes. So everything looks nice. He's wearing some nice gloves. Camouflage pants, which actually show some camouflage. Nice belt that goes around it. A pair of scissors in what I am assuming is a med pack. The detail is really nice. Now it looks like I got a little bit of a split here. So it looks like there's a little bit of a split on the thighs. Actually, there's a nice split there, and maybe this is working out the first set of them, but I would really like that if that was completely flushed together, as it does kind of, I mean, even if I'm squeezing here, I can't get it to, so I feel like there's a slight design flaw right there, maybe from the factory. You got the pistol on the side, which looks really nice. Boots. And then they do have the peg hole for the stands. And I know what everyone's saying right now. Hey, you said you hate stands, which is true, but there is a difference between an O-ring using a stand and a classified using a stand. So as you can see, it fits perfectly in there. No problems at all. I'm gonna pop this off now. Here's his backpack. It's made to hold all his weapons. So he has this nice long sniper with the bipod, and let's be honest, this bipod is what will be worth money years and years down the road. And it flips up, and flips down. You can even flip it forward if you want. But all in all, it looks pretty nice. It is nice and straight. There is a little bit of flex to it, but it is not gummy at all. This is a nice callback to what we had as kids with our O-rings. And that sniper looks awesome. The scope isn't too big. You can see where the magazine is. I'm glad they didn't try and make one where they can pull out. You probably lose that. Also, pulling out is not an effective method. The big sniper barrel. All in all, this looks really nice. And then he has an M4 to go with it. And I gotta say, this thing looks really nice. It's obviously the smaller. It's not the big M16 that, you know, we used to see with the Vietnam era. It seems like it's accurately sized. And detail is nice. And once again, let's see. It's straight. Again, it has some flex. It's not going to break on me. But I feel like if I give this to a kid, just like what we had, no problems. I'm not going to have to worry about it breaking. And then you look at the backpack. So, I'm going to plug this in here. Now, I got to say, that's kind of odd. It seems like the peg hole is a little low. Lower than what original Joes used to be. And at the end, we're going to compare the original Joe. So, I'll pop that on there. I would assume this large one here is going to be the sniper rifle. And it just fell on the ground, and well, it did not break. And it seems like it doesn't matter where I stand or where I sit, I'm going to drop stuff on the ground. So that plugs on nicely. And then I would assume, okay, that plugs in like that. So sniper goes up. The M4 looks like it goes backwards like that. Yep. So sniper. So M4 looks like it goes that way. If not, feel free to correct me in the comments if you know how it goes. So all in all, that looks really nice. Let's take the M4, see how it fits. So like I said, because the wrists can move back and forth, I'm going to be able to just change the way they're going to hold the weapon, which to me just changes everything when you are attempting to do some sort of dynamic pose. So the M4 goes in really nice. Now I hate this here, this piece. I hate it on the 6-inch weapons. I hate it on these, and that's just because it makes it harder to actually grasp, because again, it's plastic grasping. But I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to have an issue with that. It's not that big of a deal. I like the fact that my wrists can turn. Now let's get the sniper out. And we dropped our figure. It's a good test. Is there any scratches on it? Nope. All right. Sorry if I'm going a little long, but again, this is the first time I'm getting to see these figures. So I want to give you guys a good look at what I'm actually saying. I don't really like where I'm at per se, just for the fact that it's difficult on something like this. So unfortunately, it's kind of like the same issue that I have with the larger figures, is we kind of got to figure out how you want to pose your sniper. So if you really want them laying down on the ground, it does make it difficult. But I can tell you this, it's easier to pose than, let's say, someone like low light. But this does hold up. Let's get it off the black there. So that looks pretty good there. No problems, not going to complain at all. So let's pop him on here. Let's take a look at the next one. We'll take a look at the female Kestra. And I was on a live stream with the designer, and he specifically talked about how they made a change for the females, because you cannot take these off here and use them on a Joe female, because they wanted to give it a slimmer body, which is perfectly fine. So let's look at the face here. She's got a nice beret, just a black little label right there. Her pouches look good. Again, her head can go down, up. I specifically wanted to get a female. Her face does seem kind of glossy, but he specifically said he wanted that sheen to it. So all in all, it looks like it's what he was looking for. Ooh, these arms. You got a lot of mobility with these arms. Oops. A lot of mobility with these arms. And again, I'm able to move everything perfectly fine. Rivets, again, aren't painted. Now, I seem to have a issue right here. So another issue with the leg seam. That's a little disappointing. Hopefully this type of stuff gets shored up in the following waves. Knees, get about 290 degrees. Ooh. And that's as far as this leg goes up. And this one, it goes up all the way. So this was something that was actually brought to my attention, that they were having issues for some odd reason. Now, I can push this up all the way, but it doesn't want to stay there. So somewhere in the manufacturing or the design. Something keeps this thing from going up further, keeps the leg from going up, things like this. Anyway, but yeah, I'm more concerned with that, and on this one, with that there. That's more concerning than the legs, so. But let's look at her. Nice vest, nice pouches, everything looks really nice. Again, they painted the rivets up here, did not paint the rivets on the elbow. Again, perfectly fine. You do have these wrists. These ones actually move way smoother. I think because they're not as bulky. You have your med pack here, or is that ammunition? I don't know, some sort of pack. I'm not a military person, but she does have everything on the front here. We got her sidearm right there. All right. And if I am correct, she came with this small M4 with 203. I do think this looks really nice. It's a very small weapon. Now, hopefully, I would assume that this is accurate to an actual weapon that they would hold. Because again, I think the female figures should have smaller weapons because normally they're smaller. But at the same time, you don't want to change the weapon because then you have all kinds of issues, right? So now you're able to kind of turn the hand here to cup it. Now, I don't really want to stretch the hand, but I can tell you here, I can stretch the hand out if I want to. But I do feel with a figure this small that you might have an issue stretching the hand just way too much. She does have this small backpack. It's got a little antenna on it, so obviously she has some sort of device, or not device, communication device. And then she does come with a nice small knife that has some nice detail to it. If you can see it in my camera, it's serrated, and then it kind of just slides right down like this. It's going to plug onto her back. Now where it sits, we'll see if she has the same issue, if it seems low on her back. All right. So that is Kestra. All right, now we come to Leonitis. And to me, he is a very interesting character. They discussed this. He has a dog, so he's a dog handler. And they said, yes. The designer said he is a small dog, and it's for a reason, that in the comic, in the lore, we will see the dog actually grow. Now, I'm not sure if they gave the dog a name. Just a puppy attaches to backpack, dog bowl attaches to backpack. So, nice little dog bowl. It's going to attach to the backpack. Just going to go right in there. Just going to be interesting. Oh, I can see. So look, it has a little smile. Smile, you're on camera. So, I like the fact that it's blue and it kind of stands out. Now, not really what you want, I guess, would say in the military there. But the bowl just kind of pegs right in there. Now, he did say that people had an issue pushing this down, but that's just because of the type of plastic. He said after you move it a little bit, the PVC will start to stretch it, and you won't really have the issue anymore. So, honestly, I really didn't have an issue. This thing went down, dog went on there pretty good. So, he's going to fit on his back, which I think absolutely awesome. He's running around with an M16, an older style M16, I do believe. Or shall I say, a newer style M16. I don't believe this is an M4. But if I'm wrong, then feel free to correct me. Again, design looks really, really nice. You got your, yeah. I can't think right now. I feel like I've been doing this forever. Straight up, I'm not really happy with doing it here. I really should have rethought this, but I've already started, and you guys know how I go. So, M16 looks really nice. Let's look at this figure. Like I said, there's something about... I actually didn't realize he was in shorts right away, but there's something about, obviously, the dog. I wanted something different. I specifically asked when I purchased them that I wanted the sniper, a female, and I wanted the one with the dog because animal companions are just really cool. So, looking at this guy, he's got the red beard, backwards hat. He obviously has the microphone, the headset, so he can communicate. He's got an ammunition pouch on his chest. He has a hang loose blue shirt. All right. And again, no issues with the articulation. Big giant muscles. So this is obviously the bigger figure. All right. The gung-ho, the roadblock, I guess mixed with mutt and junkyard. He has tattoos, which also sit on the elbows. And I think you could probably do this a little bit better than on a 6-inch figure where you're going to have a huge split if you have tattoos on the elbow. But he has 2 full sleeves, sidearm on his shorts. Got a nice little tattoo on his shin. His T-pose, again his O-ring. 90 degree there. Now to kick forward, this one here, this leg doesn't go up all the way on this side. But on this side, it goes up a little bit more. So this was something that was actually brought to my attention that they said they, I guess, had some issues with. So it does make me wonder. Hopefully this gets worked out in the future. Looking at their legs, there's no seam split here. I'm not really going to call that a seam split. This is in high definition. That doesn't really bother me. I think these two are much worse. You can see at the top of her leg. You can see at the top of her leg. And then you can see it on both of his. So not enough to keep me from wanting the figures or even purchasing more. Just hopefully they're going to continue to change and upgrade. So the dog isn't very poseable. Just he's a little puppy laying down. So I'm really interested to see what the next version of this dog is going to look like because it is supposed to be larger. They specifically said. I'm going to take the M16 and so I really do like this figure. You can open his hand right here. See that? Open that hand. And now, for the first time in my life of any O-ring figure I've ever had, I can actually grasp the gun and make him look like he's posing and firing. And I absolutely love that because that has always been one of my biggest criticisms, even as a kid, that you really couldn't do too much. And I wonder if I can stand him without... I think I can even get him into a running position. I understand the deck of the aircraft carrier is a little soggy here. Look at that. So there he is even without a stand. I didn't have any problem standing him. But again, I hate that I did it here. I feel like I didn't give you guys a good look at it. So if I move him, he's going to cause a problem and fall. So we're going to take the stand. We're going to throw him right up here. And again, stands on 4-inch figures and O-ring figures are completely different. So now let's kind of wrap this up and let's grab some O-ring figures and see how they actually fit in the vehicles with their backpacks, weapons, different things like that. Alright, so I just grabbed a couple O-ring figures, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, this is my original Stalker. He's still in pretty good shape. Still has the dog Chomp from my grandmother's dog Penny from when I was a kid. And this is what the new ones look like, and they look different, they feel different. And sometimes you just drop the gun because they just fall right out of their hands. Because unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of these ones that they produce. So, very dull, very matte. Where you have the original Joes, you have that sheen to it. And that was one thing that the designer said that he definitely wanted to do. I can just grab her right here. And then you can see how she has a nice shine to her. Let's take the gun off here. So you can actually see how she has a nice shine to her, which is pretty nice, to be honest. Now, if I were to take this weapon, which is a stiffer weapon, I'm going to throw it in this new Stalker's hands. It actually seems to fit pretty nicely. So if they were to come out with other weapons, you'd be able to use them with your new Joe figures that are coming with the Transformers, or the 2-packs that we got. I can take my original Stalker, just slowly take this off, and we're going to see how well the gun fits in his hand. So the gun seems to fit fairly well. Again, anytime you're working with an original O-ring, you want to be very careful that you don't snap that thumb off. If it feels like there's any type of resistance, make sure you move it. So guns fit fairly well on there, no problem. The backpack, this is the original O-ring figure. And it's a little loose. Might need to use a little bit of sticky tack, but not a problem. Plugs right in there. But you look at the new O-ring figures, and unfortunately, it doesn't fit because they made the hole peg, the hole here for the screw, just a little too small, and it has something to do with design. So I'm not really sure exactly the reason. And here we have Cobra Commander. Again, you can see he's very dull, very matte. And then you look at, which I really like this figure. You look at Leonitis here, and you can definitely see just the way he glistens off of the lights there. And I really like that a lot more. So we take an original O-ring figure here, original gung-ho, backpack, and I'm able to plug that in there. Now, the only worry that I would say is that it is a little tight, and if you were to squeeze too many in there, that's what she said, there's a good chance that you may stretch out. Damn it. Some words you just can't get away from. You could actually end up having some issues. So, they are universal though, and if the plastic is soft enough that it molds back, then I think we're good there. But all in all, I think this is a nice counterpart to your G.I. Joe. So, looking at the stands, I'm going to take 2 different stands here. So here's an original stand, and it does fit in. It's nice and tight in there. Pop this off. Try this one here. Same thing. And because of the type of plastic they are, no problem. So the one thing that you have to watch out, I'll take one of their stands here, and I will use this Stalker right over here. And it is a nice tight fit. Now I can squeeze it, make it go down all the way with no problem. But anytime when you're getting into stands with, let's say, an original O-ring figure, be careful. Ooh, this actually fits perfect. It's actually loose. Perfect is the wrong word. It's actually loose. But anytime you're using a modern stand on an O-ring, you need to be careful because that's about as far as that thing's going to go down without snapping that heel off. So, all right, now let's see how they fit with some vehicles, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so here we got the original Vamp. I'll pull our nice minty looking clutch. I'm going to grab our Preacher. see how well he actually fits into the Vamp. Okay, so we're gonna reach over here. And we're gonna grab our Leonitis. And we're gonna see how he fits into the Vamp. I seem to be having an issue. So I think because the legs don't go up all the way like this, I think we might have some issues actually getting them to pose inside some vehicles. Now that's kind of disappointing. This is just a regular seat, so I can't really get his leg to go up all the way and stay there. And they kind of, when you do, they open up. Where the original Joes don't do that. Let me grab Preacher. Preacher kind of seems to do the same thing. So let's try Preacher in here. See if I have better luck with Preacher. So, yeah, I'm definitely having some issues with this Vamp. Now, I guess there I just put the feet together, but he doesn't sit properly. And you can kind of see how that is. And that is something that would definitely drive me nuts. So the Vamp is not a good one for him. We're going to take clutch and so you can kind of see how clutch just sits right down how he's supposed to. Okay, so you're going to fall off. We're not going to let you roll off the aircraft carrier and go into the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. So let's try Trouble Bubble. Take off Dr. Mindbender. If you guys don't know, this is the Target exclusive that we have been waiting for. Per an island with snakes on it. So, I can take her, throw on a Trouble Bubble, close it up, and fits very well. But she sits straight for the most part. Her legs tend to bend properly. Let's grab another one and see how he looks. So let's grab him. Grab our Leonitis. Throw it on here. Now this one here, you can kind of get away with it because you don't really notice that he's not sitting flat. That one doesn't really bother me, but to get it in the Vamp, just not going to fit properly. Didn't even think about that since that leg doesn't go straight up. Let's grab a Snowcat. Now here with the Snowcat, you can see I have a different driver in here. So my broken ones. And he doesn't even fit straight up because... So now my question is, am I going to be able to get... I don't think that I'm going to be able to get this to close. So canopies, unfortunately, are going to cause an issue. Now, all right, well, let's do one with the canopy that isn't broken. Because even with some of the Joes, you sometimes have to push their heads down. I'm going to pop Frostbite out of here. And what I was talking about with the giant scope right there. Perfect example. So, I'm going to throw him in here. And you can close it all the way. You can't really tell that his head's hitting the top of it. But it is. And the canopy, as you can see, it's kind of pushing up. So, unfortunately, I can't say that I'm too thrilled with how they fit in the vehicles. We do two side by side. They have, again, these guys are pretty beefy in the shoulders. Yeah. So you ain't really getting two figures in there. I mean, you can. They look like they're about to kiss. I really had to cram them where if I open these up here, if I throw Frostbite in, and I throw Dr. Mindbender in, again, don't ask why they're riding together. I can close it without any issue. So vehicles they do tend to work with, but I also have a few other problems, I guess you could say. All right, I think that kind of wraps it up looking at the vehicles. Again, I can go through a multitude of vehicles. As you are well aware, I have many. Unfortunately, I think there's just a few design flaws, things that need to be worked out. So let's wrap this up. All right, so that's my final review of my first hands-on Delta-17 figures. We have Leonitis with his dog. We have Preacher with his sniper. And we have Calestra with her 203 and little knife. Are they perfect? No. But I buy more. I certainly will buy more. I do think they're going to go pretty well with the rest of the collection that I do have here. I am not someone who has an issue where I cannot mix my 4-inch figures with my 3.75-inch O-ring figures. I love the fact that the wrists do swivel, but the gaps are kind of an issue. The legs that don't go straight up don't seem like an issue till you try and put them into some vehicles. That kind of causes a problem. And as much as I don't want to ever be negative, I have to be honest, and that's been the biggest thing any review that I've ever done. I need to be honest about it, and there are some issues with the legs, the way they move up, and that seam right down the thigh. It's just, that's aesthetically unpleasing. Again, not the worst thing in the world, but the biggest thing for me is the legs not doing a full L. So when you want to see them in a vehicle, it's definitely going to show. They're going to stick up. Their legs don't go together because of the thickness in the crotch. I didn't really look at... Here's one of the new O-rings. And they're able to do it. So I would assume it's either the thickness in the crotch here that does it, or something in the actual T-bone that's on the inside. So it's just an unfortunate thing. But other than that, I think these figures are extremely nice. Be looking for them. They should be going up for sale very soon on the Delta-17 website, which I will post a link in the description to their website where you can order them. I do believe they are going to be available at some different stores. I'm not sure yet. When I do know, then I will be sure to put that up there. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. If you like the content that I'm giving you and you're on social media, you're on Instagram, _toys. As I mentioned, that is my new account as of right now. And then you have Twitter and TikTok, _toys. And last but not least, you stayed this long, and I know this video is going to be extremely long because I went over a lot because I did 3 different figures and I compared them to different O-rings and how they fit and different things like that. So if you're still here this long, take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I do drop a G.I. Joe video or any video. I said G.I. Joe, I didn't mean to. Delta-17 video, but I'm not going to go back. I hate retakes. I'd be a really bad actor. I'd just be like, just use what you have there. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Have a wonderful day, but don't go anywhere. Up here, there'll be stuff for you to watch that has to do with toys. Probably O-ring stuff since you're here for O-rings. Take care.